Breaking news as we keep an eye on Fayette County.
That is where a desperate search for a missing 9-year-old girl who is believed to be in danger has come to a tragic end. Renesmay Eutsey was found a short time ago, partially submerged in the Yaak River.
Welcome or welcome back, and thanks for being here. I'm Cassie, and this is A Wicked World. The story I have for you today is a very recent one out of Pennsylvania about a 9-year-old little girl who went missing from her adoptive mother's home. This is the story of Renesmay Eutsey. Renesmay Ann Eutsey was born on June 10, 2016, in Pennsylvania to her mother, Christina Benedetto, and her father, Kenneth Eutsey. She was a happy, lovable, and friendly little girl who loved strawberry ice cream, unicorns, mermaids, baby dolls, and the colors pink and purple. Renesmay also had 3 younger biological siblings. Renesmay's mother, Christina, was only 16 years old at the time her daughter was born, so for years, she, along with her own mother, Linda Miller, raised the little girl. Not much is known about Renesmay's father, but it's been said online by a woman who adopted 2 of his other children, and by others, that he's an addict who has violent tendencies towards women. Renesmay's mother, Christina, also got involved with drugs at some point, which resulted in child services being involved in the family's lives from at least 2018 on. Then in August of 2019, Christina, her mother Linda, and a man named Charles Hebert Moore, who was also living in the home, were all arrested, and they were charged with 2 felony counts of endangering the welfare of children. This came after the 3 adults had threatened to shoot authorities if state police or child service workers entered the residence, since a judge had ordered them to do just that and remove the children. Now, once officers were able to enter the home, they found that the kids were living in complete squalor. There were dirty diapers and trash strewn throughout. There was additionally no food found inside the home. One child had a severe diaper rash, and it was also discovered that the children had been living there with a registered offender, one whose name I wasn't able to find. Following this incident, Child Services took all the children into their custody, and soon after, they were able to convince Christina to sign over legal guardianship to her cousin, Sarah Shipley. Sarah's partner, who was also the children's father, Kenneth's cousin, Courtney Eutsey, lived in the home too, and she would become the kids' second primary caregiver. Shortly after this custody arrangement was put into place, Renesmay and her siblings began calling Courtney mom and Sarah dad. Along with Renesmay and her siblings, the couple also had another older child named Avery, whom they had adopted years earlier. According to Renesmay's mother, Christina, once her children were taken away from her, she began working on getting her substance abuse problems under control, and she tried to see her kids as often as she could. She claimed that the plan was always for them to be returned back to her, but once she began talking to Sarah about a custody agreement, she stopped replying to her messages, and she would only reply back to her when she needed money or needed to get the kids gifts. Christina stated that Courtney and Sarah had tried to cut her and other family members out of the children's lives. But the mother's statements have been met with much criticism online because keep in mind, her kids were taken away from her back in 2019, 6 years ago. So many want to know, just how long does it take to get your shit together? Either way, the last time Christina had heard from her daughter Renesmay was on the morning of September 2nd, when she texted her saying that she missed her and that she hated being homeschooled. Then, the very next day, September 3rd, 2025, shortly after noon, 9-year-old Renesmay was reported as missing from her Dunbar home. Her guardian, Sarah, claimed that the little girl had wandered away from their house on 3rd Street in the middle of the night, and the last time she'd seen her was when she had put her to bed the evening prior. And an electronic device believed to belong to Renesmay last pinged at the residence around 6 that morning. The search for the 9-year-old began immediately, and nearly 14 hours later at 2 in the morning on September 4th, her body would be found. She was partially submerged along the riverbank of the Youghiogheny River near Smithton, Pennsylvania, about 30 minutes from her home.
My baby didn't deserve that. She was innocent. She still had her whole life ahead of her.
Renesmay's biological mother tells KDKA Courtney Eutsey, a blood relative, was caring for her and her 3 other children while she was getting her life back on track.
Well, I got my life situated. I wasn't the best mother, but I was still there. This isn't fair. I shouldn't be planning to bury my daughter. Not at 9. Not ever. This isn't a pain I would wish on anybody.
As of right now, Renesmay's cause of death has not yet been released, but according to the Fayette County District Attorney's Office, it was clear that she had been abused for quite some time. She was malnourished, weighing only 45 pounds, which is the average weight of a 6-year-old, not a 9-year-old. She also had multiple bruises and cigarette burns all over her. Shortly after the discovery of Renesmay's body, her adoptive mother, 31-year-old Courtney Eutsey, was placed under arrest, and she was charged with criminal homicide, aggravated assault, endangering the welfare of children, use of a corpse, tampering with evidence, and concealing the death of a child. She is currently being held with no bond. This came after Renesmay's adoptive sister, 12-year-old Avery, told an investigator that she was sorry for not telling the truth earlier. Then she stated, "I'm never going to see my baby sister again because she's in heaven." She then told officers that the night before she had heard Renesmay screaming and crying in her room. And when she went to see what was going on, she saw Courtney and Sarah yelling at the 9-year-old. Then they kicked her in the stomach. The child also claimed that she heard the 2 women saying that they were going to take Renesmay to a river that was far, far away. And she saw the little girl's body being stuffed into a black garbage bag, then a tote bag, before Courtney carried her out of the house. The sibling additionally stated that at this time, her sister's lips were white and she looked like she was sleeping. Avery told authorities that when Courtney and Sarah realized that she had overheard what was going on, Sarah punched her in the mouth. When the little girl was further questioned, she told police that while she had lived with Sarah and Courtney, she had not been allowed to eat if she didn't do her chores. And when she had once complained about a toothache, instead of making a dentist appointment, the 2 adults had pulled the tooth out with a pair of pliers. When authorities spoke with Courtney, she told them that on the evening of September 2nd, Renesmay had been sick and vomiting. Soon, she began to choke. And even though Courtney tried to clear her airway and give her CPR, she was unsuccessful and the little girl passed away. However, Courtney also admitted that she was too scared to call 911 due to the fact that Renesmay was so skinny and because she had a burn on her back which had occurred about a week prior. According to her, this burn had happened in the bathtub and she believed that it had become infected, yet she never sought any medical attention for her. So instead of calling for help, she just decided to take Renesmay's body and go dump her in the river. Following the 9-year-old's death, her siblings were removed from the home and they were placed into foster care. Her 6-year-old brother was also rushed to the hospital as he was so severely malnourished that he had gone into cardiac arrest. He only weighed 24 pounds and had a body mass index of 0. Doctors said that if he ate anything at that point, it could have killed him. The little boy also had multiple bruises and abrasions on his body and had some teeth that looked like they had been removed with pliers. While the Fayette County District Attorney's Office has said that Child Services had no involvement with the family for a significant amount of time and had received no reports indicating any abuse, multiple people have commented online that this is not true, and that they themselves had called Child Services in the past, as recently as last year. And as I had previously stated, Renesmay and her siblings were being homeschooled by Courtney and Sarah, so that they could hide all their injuries from the world. Then 2 days after Renesmay's body was recovered, on September 5th, 2025, first responders were called to the home yet again. This time on a report that her other legal guardian, Sarah Shipley, who for whatever reason had not been criminally charged yet, had attempted to overdose, and she was rushed to the emergency room. While Sarah was being treated in the hospital, detectives asked her if the reason why she had tried to take herself out of the world was due to Renesme's death, and she physically nodded yes. The following day, 35-year-old Sarah Shipley was charged with criminal homicide and conspiracy to commit criminal homicide for her involvement in Renesme's death. Charges of aggravated assault, endangering the welfare of children, and simple assault and harassment were also added a couple days later, and she's scheduled to be arraigned on those charges once she's released from the hospital. Now, it's been said that this is not the first time that Courtney and Sarah have hurt a child. The pair also had a 4-week-old infant whom they had been fostering back in 2018 that had been brought to the hospital with a skull fracture. However, no official investigation into the baby's injuries was ever done, and Courtney and Sarah blamed the biological mother, while the biological mother blamed them. It also seems that there is a clear pattern of abuse and neglect within Renesme's family. Because back in 2004, Sarah Shipley's sister, Billie Jo, was charged with killing her 2 children. Apparently, she and a friend had left their children alone in the apartment, unsupervised, with the doors and windows locked, so they could go out looking for a phone. But during this time, a fire had broken out and ultimately took the lives of 3 children. Billie Jo was sentenced to 3 years in prison for this incident. And yet another sibling of Sarah and Billie Jo's, named Greg Gibbs, was charged in 2004 after he hit and killed his 2-year-old niece with his car as she was playing outside in the driveway. It's additionally been alleged by family and friends online that Renesmay had been essayed by 2 different individuals, but nothing was done about it. However, at this time, that is just alleged. It's pretty clear that the little girl was being mistreated in her home, too. As you can see in many recent pictures of her, she was constantly covered in bruises and looking rather sickly and skinny. Her siblings, too. On the night of Friday, September 5th, 2025, a candlelight vigil was held in Renesme's honor at the Franklin Memorial Methodist Church. A second vigil was held the following night at Dunbar Park. Renesme's mother, who was in attendance, said, "Renesmay will be remembered. They will see her face on every street corner. She would have loved every stuffed animal that everyone has gathered. She loved her stuffed animals. I still have a bag of her stuffed animals upstairs. I just want my daughter to have what she would have had while on this earth. I will forever be grateful for every person screaming for justice for my Renesmay. Renesmay's justice will be served."
Bubbles are usually a plaything, but Saturday night, they took on a different meaning.
A little girl who loved the colors pink and purple, but also loved unicorns, mermaids, and baby dolls.
Renesmay Eutsey loved it all.
I first met Renesmay at my store over here. I can tell you that she absolutely loves strawberry ice cream and an ice cream cone.
The Bubbles, organizers say, show the presence of that little girl who could no longer blow her own on this earth.
Renesmay mattered. Her life mattered. Every one of her 9 years mattered.
Hundreds came to the park, lighting candles, joined in prayer.
Let's all bow our heads.
This candle symbolizes more than a flame.
The organizers say it symbolizes her spirit, their love, and shared resolve to push back against the darkness.
Now it's time to get angry.
That anger, clearly present.
You don't want this to be your child, or your niece, or your nephew.
Justice for Renesmay!
Yeah.
Say her name!
Yeah.
No child should have to suffer that.
Organizers shared the need for stronger laws and for their community to say something when they see something.
We must fight for the voiceless. Renesmay's light was stolen, but her memory will not fade.
Hope that this will be the last time they ever need to gather like this.
And may her light forever shine in our hearts.
Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out on patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims are never forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a story you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email to awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.